Commissioner DeBonda.
Here.
Commissioner Egloff.
Here.
Commissioner Ellis.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Lark. Commissioner Lark. Commissioner Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Ruddy.
Here.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Present.
Back one more time, Commissioner Lark.
Yes, I'm present.
100%.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Tom, and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the State Racing Commission meeting. Thank you all for being with us, and to the commissioners, thank you for your service. This meeting has been properly advertised in accordance with the Sunshine Law. By way of notice, the commission conducted an executive session to engage in quasi-judicial deliberation to be adjudicated in the public meeting and engaged in attorney-client privilege communication earlier today. So with that, again, welcome all. Thank you. We'll pick up with the presentations. I'm sorry, with the public meeting approval of minutes from April 25th. We have a motion to approve the minutes, please. Commissioner Ellis on the motion, Commissioner Brendheiser on the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of April 25th, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Now to presentations. Tom? We'll pick up with the Racing Fund April financial report. Jason Dunsavage is with us. Jason?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to present the racing financial statements as of the end of April. Beginning with the non-restricted fund. Beginning of April, we had a cash balance of $5.9 million. Revenue during that time totaled a little over $2 million. Against that were expenditures totaled $1.341 million, giving us an ending cash balance on April 30th of $6.65 million. Sure. Sorry. Moving on to the commission. For the month of April, revenue totaled $1.223 million. Expenditures for personnel were $368,000. Operating expenditures were $88,000 for a total expenditure of $456,850. Shifting to testing. Revenue for the month from the Racehorse Development Fund was $780,000. Personnel, $291,000. Additional operating costs of $432,000. Total expenditures for the month in testing, $723,000. Moving on to racing promotion. There was no transfer from the Racehorse Development Fund. We received the full amount already. Expenditures and racing promo, $160,000 for the month. Next up is a comparison year-to-date of commission and testing versus last year at the same time. Revenue this year, $16.9 million. Last year, $16.8 million for revenue at the same time. Expenditures total $16.4 million this fiscal year as of the end of April versus $14.1 million last fiscal year at the same time. The remaining financial statements represent the activities in racing's other three restricted funds. Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments for Jason? I'll just say, as we approach June, right? Anything of concern here as we enter the final 30 days of the fiscal year?
No concerns with racing fund right now.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, Jason, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, Tom, on to the Hisahaiwu.
Sorry about that. Just a brief update on HISA and HIWU. From an operational perspective, HISA and HIWU relaunched the anti-doping and medication program and the lab services on May 22nd. They're back in charge. They're responsible for the racetrack safety program. That was a letter agreement we did back a while back. It's for the entire year. And then the anti-doping and the lab services, they're also responsible for. Just a brief update on the contract. I mentioned the letter agreement. Just on the HIWU and the ADMC, legal counsel at PDA signed off. The secretary had signed off. It's been submitted to OGC. OGC reviewed it and signed off on it. It has been sent to the Attorney General for final approval. Under the lab services agreement, the negotiations are, for all intents and purposes, pretty much done. We have one or two small issues left to resolve, and I anticipate in the next 30 days those will be resolved. And the only other outstanding thing I'll touch on is the litigation. I'm sure people have discovered that or read that the 5th District Court, Judge Hendricks, had ruled that the HISA was constitutional and did not offer an injunction. That was to be expected. The key here is the HBPA has pushed it forward to the 5th Circuit Court. They anticipate some kind of review and decision sometime this summer, probably towards the end of the summer. And that will pretty much determine where it goes. There are some other cases, but that's the key case out there, Mr. Chairman. Any questions?
Todd Mostoller, OSTO.
That honestly, Todd, is between HISA and HIWU and you. I mean, we've submitted and come to an agreement. And as I said, I don't know if they reinstituted because of the delay or anything else. I'm happy in conversation to tell them that you've inquired, but whatever the balance due, that's going to come from them. And I'd like to know what it is too, so we're aware of, but they have not shared that with us.
As of now, the presentation that you gave with the $4.8 million credit for major, that's where it stands, even though you operated for an additional month.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is this. I'm comfortable with the numbers we gave you based on the circumstances. I anticipate them to change. How much, I don't know. And I think in that conversation, the commission had stated that it was probably about $1.2 million, I think, was going back to the tracks or the horsemen for, I anticipate that will decrease, but by how much I can't tell you right now, Todd.
I still engage them for that answer.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Other questions, comments? If not, just to note, I want to say thank you to Tony and Tom for navigating through the months of uncertainty and worry about how the commission intersects with HISA and HIWU and the functionality of our commission and our state racing enterprise. And I just want to say thank you to them for doing that. I think we're in a relatively good place. Obviously, there's still uncertainty, but at the end of the day, given where we were a year ago of tremendous uncertainty, we now have some predictability about what the about how it's going to operate in the future and our role and the extent that we've got agreements in place that protect our employees in the system. I just want to say thank you. And that's not an easy thing to navigate. And I think I'm speaking for all the commission when I can say that we're very proud of what we have, and our concern all along has been the disturbance of that. But we can today feel pretty confident that we've got the right agreements in place to allow all of the requirements to be met. So thank you. Okay. With that, we're going to do a presentation, right?
The next item on the agenda, Mr. Chairman, is the PHBA has a request to this commission, and I've provided some documentation to amend its 2023 budget. They'd like to do a joint research project between New Bolton plus Vital, who's over in Dublin, Ireland, and the PHBA. Brian is here today. He's going to give you a brief presentation. At the conclusion of the presentation, if there are open issues or questions, please be advised to ask Brian directly. And then later in the program, there's an opportunity for the commission, if it so chooses, to take action, that being approval, rejection, or tabling as you all see fit. And without further ado, Mr. Sanfratello, you're on.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Brian Sanfratello, Sanfratello. I'm here before you today to ask for an amendment in our 2023 budget. The budget was approved by the Commission back in January. And since that time, we have got together with a group in Dublin, Ireland called Plus Vital, who has come up with a test which will show if a horse has a group of genes which is called the soundness gene. One of our board members got involved with that, with looking at an article that they had put out. We got the New Bolton involved with that also. Basically, this soundness gene will tell whether or not a horse has this grouping of genes. If it does, then if it breeds with another horse that has this same grouping of genes, that horse has a greater chance of either not being able to get to the races or have a decreased amount of time actually racing. It's a bone soundness test. So we got together with Penn Vet. They or New Bolton. Mary Robinson made her phlebotomist available. We just tested, and they were looking for a controlled area of horses, like Pennsylvania. They've done these tests on other groups of horses, but not a group of 500. The purpose is to ask or to find out what percentage of the horses carries this gene. And again, it's not bad or good that a horse carries that. They just feel that if the horse does have the gene, that it shouldn't breed to a horse that also has the gene. So we just completed the 500 mares and stallions that we needed to test within Pennsylvania. They usually charge approximately $300 to $400 per test. Because of the group, the horse breeders group that they wanted to test, or they felt that would be good towards the research, they're only charging us $100 per test. So that would be $50,000. They will only post the results of the research as a group, but they will send us the individual mares and stallions results to forward to the owners of those horses. As a small breeder myself, and of which many of our group are small breeders that breed anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 mares, it's really to be able to say this is who I should breed to, or I have a better chance if I breed to a horse that has it or doesn't have it compared to what my mare has is really good for the small breeder. So if you look at the budget on the 100% reimbursable number, which I think is page 2, down at the bottom, close to the bottom, you will see Penn Vet / Plus Vital Research. And if you go over, you will see the $50,000 added to the budget if you so approve. That's the only change that is here, which will change the percentage on page 3 to 7.29%. Expected money coming in to money going out of the breeding fund. Any questions?
Brian, this is Sal DeBunda. I have 2 questions. Do we have enough money?
Yes.
Okay. The second question is the end result of this that you would be notified if you owned a mare or a stallion, and you would tell the person you're mating with that you have a horse with these genes, and therefore they could decide if they have a mare with the same genes, they would not breed. Is that the end result of this?
Well, it's not that you can't breed, but you're less likely to have a horse that would go a longer period of time racing. So the end result is I have a brood mare, and I know if I have the genes or not. I'm going to ask the stallion that I would like to breed with what they have this grouping of genes. Now, first, you're going. I mean, I think this research is going to actually take off. At first, someone might say, as a stallion, well, I didn't have the test done, so I really don't know. So at that point, you're probably going to say, well, we would like you to have the test done. And it's up to that stallion. And as this grows bigger and bigger, then I think the stallions are going to basically want to make sure that they have the test done.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Now, the question is, I thought this was a research study, but you mentioned a cost per test. And so is this like part of a project? Are they trying to verify this? Or is this a service they offer that you now are testing?
No, it's a research, and the research is still in play, and they want to verify information. How many horses within a group, what percentage carries the gene, and they're still working, but they have been testing with this test. I think they tested like 2,200 horses, not in a group though, in any one group, but just in different places over the past year or so.
So you're providing samples, a group of samples, but they're charging, but at a lower rate. But
Right.
They have the project.
Right. So they actually are the group that's doing the research,
Right.
And they want to verify the research or help verify the research that they're doing.
Other questions, comments? Yeah.
Brian, tell me what you know about how Plus Vital came to the conclusions they've come to. And was that study only done in Ireland, or was it done somewhere else besides?
No, the study was done also in the United States.
By Plus Vital.
What's that?
By Plus Vital.
By Plus Vital, right? The test that they give, right? And we talked about this with Mary Robinson and New Bolton, and we would have not gone through with this unless we had a good, unless they actually knew that everything was up and up on it. So we didn't just pull them out of the air.
Is Mary on this call?
I don't.
Dr. Robinson? We could hear you. Now I can't. You still there?
Can you hear me?
No. You started strong and then faded. It's not on our end, right? No. Sorry, we can't hear you.
I can see if I can get her on the phone and put it to the mic.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Call Mary Robinson.
Dr. Robinson, Brian is calling you now. See if we can put you on the speakerphone.
Up now, can you hear me?
You're getting closer.
It's very faint. Are you calling her?
Call Jillian Mitchell at 610.
Nope, that's not it. Call Mary Robinson.
I think I,
Yeah, you're on two. You've got two devices running there. You still there?
one more try. Is this working now?
There you are.
Yep,
Thank
there
you.
you go.
It's good. You're on. Thank you.
Mary, this is Russell Jones. I'm wondering at what level of comfort you have.
Yeah, Dr. Robinson, we can hear you.
Could you hear me? I don't think
I
so.
don't think she could hear you.
I think she left. She's trying to come back in. She left, right?
Call me.
Is she muted or not?
Sal,
Hi,
I would
Mary.
just like to know what level of comfort she has.
You see,
I agree.
yeah.
She's on voting now.
Hi, Mary.
Mary, you're on two devices. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you on, I have you on speaker. I think the commissioners have a couple questions.
Of course. Sorry about all the technical difficulties.
Mary, it's Russell Jones. I'm curious to know what level of comfort you have with the information that Plus Vital has done so far in coming to the conclusions they have regarding a soundness gene.
So that's a great question. There are publications out now, 2 publications and a third one on its way for the tests that they are running on the PHBA samples. And the second publication was done in North American horses. So these are samples that were sent to them and that they have compiled from horses racing in North America. And the data in the manuscript look really good. So, they're essentially launching this test. We're getting in pre-launch. So the test is already to be launched. And essentially we're getting in pre-launch and getting a discounted rate for the test because it hasn't been officially launched yet. So the research around the test that is being run on the samples that Brian is requesting money for, that is already fairly complete. And then there's a second study that we are doing using samples from the biobank to try and identify additional genes of interest. So we're looking at developing multiple tests with the company going forward. But the one that's already in place is the one that Brian's specifically requesting funding for, and the reason it's at $100 per sample instead of the $400 per sample is because it's pre-launch. Essentially, we're getting in early.
Who has done the work up to now in terms of the sample collection, and where has that been done? I'm talking about the one that is done domestically here.
I'm sorry, if you could repeat the question, Brian. I'm having a hard time hearing the commissioner.
I'm curious to know who has compiled the data for Plus Vital in this country, in the States, so that where did it come from? Who collected the data and who did the study on it?
So this is all Plus Vital and Dr. Emmeline Hill's data. So Dr. Hill she's an academic researcher as well, and she she is the one who collected all the data, compiled all the data. Her team analyzed all the data, and then she developed a startup company to start offering these validated genetic tests. That startup company was then purchased by Plus Vital, and so she wears two hats. She wears an academic researcher hat, and then she also wears a chief scientific officer hat for the genetic testing that's being done under the Plus Vital name.
And has she actually been the one that's been doing the testing here in this country?
Yes, the samples were all sent to her, to her for the analysis. So all of the samples that she did the testing on were sent to her for analysis.
And were they on thoroughbred horses, standardbred horses, or both?
I don't know the specifics, but I believe they were primarily thoroughbred. At least the publication that it came out was on thoroughbred racehorses.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Sweeney?
Hi, Dr. Robinson, it's Corinne, Mary. From what Brian has said and what you've said, so this test exists, anybody can, or it's about to launch. They've done their research, they've verified it, they've published it. And so the request is just to use the sample, to provide them samples. So I'm not quite sure the research component. They're willing to test this and provide the information to the Pennsylvania owners of these horses at a lower rate than if they just did it themselves, correct?
Yes, again, I'm having a little trouble hearing, but if I understand the question correctly, I believe you were asking about how much of this is research versus how much of this is providing information.
Correct, because if it's a valid test, it exists, it's tested, it's been published. So this is just testing at a discounted rate because they haven't launched yet?
It is. Now, the additional value is that the samples she initially analyzed, they were, as Brian said, about 2,200 horses or so. However, there is a pretty significant selection bias there because those samples all came from people who chose to send her samples.
Right.
And so it's not as wide of a view of the population as would be ideal, right? Ideally, you would want to have a randomized sample throughout the population with no selection bias. Whereas the samples she had and published on, there's, clear selection bias. And so while the test has already been published and they are already planning to launch it, I think it was, the potential advantage from a research standpoint is that this is almost a complete population sampling of all the horses that are PA-bred horses for the state of Pennsylvania. And so it'll be really interesting to see whether the percentage of the gene haplotypes that she's interested in are the same in our Pennsylvania population or whether they're different from the population that she has already sampled and received samples from.
Thank you.
Any final questions?
Yeah, are other jurisdictions, Brian, doing similar funding as far as you know?
Not that I know of.
No, this is something that we initiated actually the discussions with Dr. Hill through one of our other collaborators. We arranged for an introduction, and then once we started the discussion, we started talking about what types of samples we had and what might be advantageous to the industry for running these samples. And that's when it was myself and my collaborator, Dr. Joanne Hoffman, Penn Vet, who thought it would be advantageous to bring in the PHBA to see if they'd be interested in doing this overall population sampling, in addition to working with the samples that we have in the biobank.
So does that lead to the idea that we would get an exclusive in the U.S.?
Could you say that again?
Would we be getting, as a result, if we put the money up, can we ask for an exclusive that will be the only jurisdiction doing this?
I think I I heard something about us being the only jurisdiction to do this. We are actually in discussions, so, and I don't want to speak for Dr. Hill, but she has already had a relationship in place with the Jockey Club to get further samples and a wider sample pool. So what Pennsylvania would be the first population that we would look at, and then the plan is to expand that nationally.
Okay, thank you. Counsel?
Thank you. I have one question. Is there a database, and who will own that database?
There is no database, at least not on our end. We're using Excel. So if Plus Vital and Dr. Hill have a database, then they would own that database. And that's, we do have a material transfer agreement in place for all the samples that are being collected for this particular project, for the population analysis for this one gene. And then we also have what's called a collaborative research agreement in place for the second study that we're doing on the samples from the biobank. So that is a second study with different terms and agreements as far as the IP goes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Robinson. Any final questions for Brian? Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
You'll note under administrative actions, the
Thanks, Mayor.
Motion on this topic. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Brian. Okay, any other presentations?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go to administrative actions. Thank you.
Under administrative actions, the first action would be a motion to approve the simulcast calendars for June for the harness tracks of Harrah's, Mohican Sun, and the Meadows.
Okay, thank you, John. Do we have a motion to approve the Standardbred schedule for?
So moved.
Commissioner Bredheiser on the motion, Commissioner Ruddy on the second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next motion on the agenda is the motion to approve simulcast calendars for June 2023 for the Thoroughbred tracks, Parks, Bend National, and Presque Isle Downs.
Thank you,
I'll
John.
make that a motion.
Commissioner DeBunda on the motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Commissioner Lark.
Commissioner Jones on the second. Discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of approving the motion for Thoroughbred calendar for June 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
The final administrative action is in relation to the PHBA's request, a motion to approve the PHBA 2023 amended budget request.
Thank you, John. Do we have a motion to approve the budget request? Commissioner Ellis on the motion. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Lark.
Commissioner Lark, thank you. We've got a second motion and a second discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. That's it.
I said aye.
You said aye. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. Motion carries. Thank you. On to the adjudication. Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is the appeal of Ronald J. Burke. Docket number is Racing ME-2022 M9. This matter arises under the Racing Act and is before the Racing Commission on appeal filed by licensed owner, trainer, driver Ronald J. Burke. By ruling number 22022M dated February 25th, 2022, the Board of Judges of the Meadows fined appellant $1,500 and suspended his license for 15 days effective March 15th, 2022. In addition, the horse he trained was disqualified from the race and purse redistributed. The judge's decision was based upon a determination that following the sixth race on July 30th, 2021 at the Meadows Racetrack, a horse trained by appellant tested positive for a prohibited substance. After several continuances and significant delays, this matter was ultimately heard on March 29th, 2023. You have now had the opportunity to review the transcript of the hearing and the proposed hearing officer's adjudication and order. The matter is now ready for disposition. And if I may, this would be the following order. And now, this 30th day of May, 2023, upon consideration of the testimony and exhibits of record, it is hereby ordered that ruling number 22024M, issued by the Meadows Board of Judges, dated February 25th, 2022, imposing sanctions upon appellant Ronald J. Burke, is affirmed in part and reversed in part. The imposed $1,500 fine and loss of purse is affirmed. The 15-day suspension is vacated, and that can be done as a motion.
Council, thank you.
So moved.
Mr. Rogers on the
Second.
Commissioner Brennheiser on the second. Discussion?
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. A discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, industry reports, Tony.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Before I go to the industry reports, I'd just like to remind everybody that the 2023 Fair Book is available. I think we have some extra copies here. If not, let us know if you need any in the audience. We'll get some for you. But again, I'd like to thank Ryan Keel for all his work in getting the Fair Book out and getting it. And it's a much more colorful book than we've had in the past. So, but okay. For the benefit of the court reporter here in the room, I just would ask everybody to please state their name and spell it for her when I call on you. Why don't we start off with Scott Lisha from the Meadows. Scott?
Thank you, Tony. Scott Lisha, S-C-O-T-T, last name Lisha, L-I-S as in Sam, H-I-A, Director of Racing here at the Meadows. Started our evening racing this past Friday in conjunction, that night was in conjunction with Food Truck Festival, and we had some wiener dog races in between. Very well attended, well received on track. So we'll be doing that throughout the course of the summer with a 5-10 post, and hopefully it'll give people an opportunity to come out and enjoy the track, and maybe we'll be partnering and doing some food and beverage specials and things at Embers. So looking forward to that, and that means summer's here. Also, this morning we had qualifiers. We had 4 2-year-old races, and expecting more of those to follow. We'll be actually having our announcer here or an assistant announcing them and streaming them out over the MSOA Facebook page as well as ours in the coming days. So looking forward to that. And other than that, moving along into the summer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott. We'll move on to Mike Zollinger from Pocono. Mike?
Good afternoon, everyone. Boy, this year just seems to be flying by, but not quite as fast as Ruthless Hanover at Harris, Philadelphia on Sunday. Well, congratulations, Barry, on your world record. So, other than that, our Derby was a success here. We had 3 bands throughout the afternoon on the apron, beer windows open, food trucks, NEPA Cornhole was here, setting up some tournaments out by our scoreboard. Very successful day overall. What we do have coming up is on July 1st, we're going to be hosting camel and ostrich races for the first time. Along with that, we'll have food trucks out there as well. Some local veterans groups will be here on property with stands. Excuse me one sec. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, we're excited for that as well. Looking forward to the baby races get started here in June. And that's about all from Pocono. Thank you. I
Okay,
forgot to
thank
spell
you.
my name. MikeZullinger.
Thanks, Mike. Okay. Next, we'll go to Barry Brown at Harris. Barry?
Thanks, Tony. BarryBrown, Barry Brown, Director of Racing. We, like everybody else, have had a very active month of May. Started, obviously, with our annual Kentucky Derby Day party, which turned out to be a great success. We followed that up a week later with our traditional day of racing for Mother's Day. And Elvis Presley made an appearance here on our grandstand patio and entertained the crowd all afternoon. So that was a success. And then, as Mike alluded to, this past Sunday, Memorial Day Sunday, we had our Harrah's Invitational Sunday. Great racing on the racetrack, 2 world records, 2 track records. I'd like to thank the PHHA for all of their assistance for the day, and the PHRA for their presence here as well, helping out with the marketing. And we're looking forward to doing it again next year. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, Barry, I'd like to just give my compliments to your track crew because it was an unbelievable day of racing. I think you had 7 sub 150 miles on the 15 race card, and the Ruthless Hanover, as Mike said, that was a really impressive mile. So kudos to your whole track crew and your staff.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay. Joe Wilson from Parks. Joe?
This is actually David Osajanak, David Osajanak, Osojnak, Director of Racing at Parks. Nothing new to report. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, David. Eric Johnson from Penn National. Eric? Eric, you on the call?
Sorry about that. I forgot to unmute myself.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, Eric Johnston, ERIC JOHNSTON. Following up a great May, we had a good day on Derby Day and Preakness Day here. Set some nice numbers up for the racetrack. But the big news is obviously June 2nd, our Penn Mile Day. 11 race cards, starts at 5 o'clock on Friday evening. Got all kinds of activities going on out here. We have food trucks and DJ playing some music, but more importantly, we have some really, really great races coming up. So the Penn Mile got Todd Pletcher and Jack Sisterson and Arnaud Delacroix bringing horses in. These horses have been knocking heads all spring long, so looking forward to seeing who comes out on top. We got support from Chad Brown and several other big names around the industry, so it's a very exciting night of racing. Last year, we set a track record for handle with just over $4 million. And this year, the way this card shaped up, the weather's going to be perfect. So hopefully we can do it again. Hope everybody can make it out. Love to have you here. So if anybody would like to come out and join us, we have some festivities upstairs for the horsemen and some legislators coming in. If anybody would like to come in and join that group, just give me a call or Todd a call, and we will certainly get you taken care of. So that's it.
Okay, Eric, good luck.
Thank you.
Matt Ennis from Presque Isle. Matt?
This is Matthew Ennis, Mathew, last name Ennis. There's a few things here, Presque Isle and Erie, very successful Kentucky Derby Day for our parent company, Churchill Downs, here at the property. Very exciting and celebratory time. We are 7 days into our 80-day 2023 season, and we are up in export handle approximately 14%, which is very encouraging. We did an overhaul of our track in cooperation with Todd and the Pennsylvania HBPA at the end of last season and added an additional 100+ tons of surface before the horsemen arrived this season, and are getting many compliments from our horsemen that the track is in great condition. And happy to report that June 5th is our first stakes race here at Presque Isle. So things are well underway here at Presque Isle and Erie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Sam Beagle, PHHA? No report. No report. Kim Hankins, MSOA. Kim, are you on the call?
I'm on the call, but no report this month. Tony, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Todd Mosteller, you have anything, Todd?
It's Todd Mostoller, TODD-MOSTOLLER. I'd like to reaffirm what Matt said about the racetrack. I want to, we partner every year to refurbish the track up there. And what we did has been very, very beneficial. Horses and horsemen have reached out to me and thanked us, and Matt deserves some credit with that. So it's a good thing. And I'd like to just not tempt fate like Eric did. We're hopeful that we have a nice day at Penn Mile Day. To say it's going to be perfect, we'll temper that a little bit, but we'd certainly appreciate no rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. We'll go to Jeff Matty from the PTHA. Jeff?
Thanks, Tony. This is Jeff, Jeff Matty, Matty. Just two quick updates. The PTHA is proud to host the Owners Appreciation Day again this year. We moved it from the fall. We moved it to Father's Day, June 18th. This is the first Father's Day that Parks has been running in quite some time. So hoping for good weather and looking for a good turnout so we can, put on a show for our owners and trainers that make racing possible at Parks. And the second update would be that turf racing resumed last week. So hopefully the weather keeps cooperating. We haven't had to take any turf races off the grass yet. So I think we got 9 in the books, another 9 this week. So things are rocking and rolling. And just like to wish Eric and Todd all the best on Friday night. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. How about Jim or Mike Simpson from the Standardbred Breeders? Are you guys on?
Mike Simpson, Simpson. No report today.
Okay, Mike. And Brian, you're up. Getting a lot of airtime today, Brian. You're getting a lot of airtime today, Brian.
You have my name already, right? Okay. All right, slot revenues on page 1 of the handout, year-to-date through, well, not year-to-date, but through April, we're down $123,000. We just had our awards banquet the other night, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Jones for attending. Our Lifetime Achievement Award went to the multifaceted Mark McDermott, who was our executive secretary for 35 plus years. It was great seeing him again, and I think most of you know him. Horse of the Year was Caravel. And I'll tell you what a win for her there on Derby Day. Angel of Empire ran in the Kentucky Derby. I had the privilege of being there and fantastic leading up to it, and he ran a real good race. I think the speed hurt him a little bit. Getting up, and unfortunately, the race didn't go another few yards, but that's the way it is. He'll be back out in the Belmont on the 10th, and from what I hear, he's training very well. We also had another PA bred in the Preakness, Chase to Chaos, who finished in the middle of the pack. Congratulations to their connections also. The June issue of the Mid-Atlantic Thoroughbred is attached. It goes through all the awards that we gave out at the awards banquet, and our stake schedule is also on page 3 of that. Any questions? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Mike, I don't have any public comment. Do you?
There was no request for public comment.
Okay, thank you. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Tony, thank you. Any other business come before the commission? If not, I Again, just a note of thanks to Ryan on the fair guide, and we'll circulate that. Looks like the first is coming up the end of June, so.
June 24th.
June 24. So stay tuned just before we meet again on June 27th for the next meeting. And we'll close out with a thank you to everybody who's here, commission, those online. Thank you for being part of today's meeting. With that, motion to adjourn.
So moved, Commissioner Lark.
Yeah, Commissioner Lark, thank you. And multiple seconds here. Everybody said yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all the best. Safe travels. Thank you.